Today we're diving into Detroit, also known as the Motor City, and a place brimming with history, culture, and energy. From its legendary music scene and architectural marvels to its vibrant neighborhoods and revitalized downtown, Detroit offers something for every traveler. Join me as we explore the best the Motor City has to offer and see why this spot deserves a place on your travel list. Let's jump into it.
Starting our day in Detroit at the Henry Ford Museum.
Located in the Metro Detroit area in the city of Dearborn, the Henry Ford is one of the most popular museums in the entire state. It's visited by over 1.5 million people each year, and it's easy to see why, as it's massive and it has some truly impressive artifacts.
So there's a few major pieces of American history you want to see while you're here. The first is Kennedy's car, the car which he was shot in.
While it's a little macabre to have pieces like this in the museum, it's certainly an important part of American history.
This is the first car that was designed for a president to ride in. And this is Teddy Roosevelt's carriage.
The museum was named after Henry Ford because of his efforts to preserve items of historical interest. There's even a quote of his here that says that I am collecting the history of our people as written into the things their hands have made and used. I think that's a great way to describe this museum, and it's easily one of the most impressive collections I've ever seen at a museum.
This is a 1927 Bluebird, and it could be America's oldest school bus.
You could spend days here learning about all the history enclosed in these walls, such as expeditions to Antarctica and the Wright brothers' first plane.
This is another one of the really important pieces of American history. It's the actual chair that Abraham Lincoln was shot in.
I don't even know how you're able to acquire something like this, but it was certainly impressive to see here.
This is the last of the three incredibly impactful pieces of American history they have. It's the bus that Rosa Parks sat on.
While exploring this exhibit, you can scan a QR code to learn more about how she was arrested for refusing to give up her seat, and you can also walk on and experience the bus itself.
This is an incredible museum. You could spend hours to even days here taking it all in.
This barely scratches the surface of what you can see here, but I didn't want the entire video to be on just this museum.
If you like old cars, it's interesting, but the historical stuff is absolutely fascinating. I mean, Lincoln's chair and the bus with Rosa Parks. So yeah, it's a really strong museum.
And what's cool is that it's all American innovation. So there's a section on cars for sure, but there's just so much other innovation that you can see while you're there. You can also go to the Greenfield Village while you're here, but it's an additional $40 charge, and we're gonna see more of Detroit, so we're gonna head on. Next up, we're doing something that Pops forces me to listen to all the time when we're driving. We're visiting the Motown Museum.
I am so excited to be here. I grew up on this music. This music is amazing.
When you get here, you can pay the fee and take the next tour, and there's no video allowed inside, but this is an amazing place to explore as it's the birthplace of Motown Records, which was the influential label that launched the careers of legends like Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross, and Marvin Gaye.
That was so cool. Just to be there in the same place to sing My Girl in the same room that the Temptations recorded it. So much history, so much talent, just an incredible spot. You gotta come visit this.
One more museum before we head downtown to explore. It's the Ford Piquette plant, which was the first plant created by Henry Ford. We welcome you to sit and touch this Model T. Look at that, Pops.
I could do this. This is not uncomfortable.
This former factory was built in 1904 and was the second automobile production area for Ford Motor Company. At the plant, they both created and first produced the Model T, which is the car that started the mass use of automobiles in the United States.
This is the oldest Model T here, serial number 220. And here is Henry Ford's office. I mean, look at how cool this old building is with all the cars in it. They call this area the Alphabet Collection. Starts at Model A, Model C, Model F. All the different cars were different letters.
My dad and I aren't really car people, but this is a fascinating museum to explore. The building feels historic, and to see so many amazing old cars here is a total treat. If you're into historic cars and car history, give yourself some time to explore this, and be sure to go all the way to the top to see the secret experiment room where they supposedly created the Model T.
That was a very cool museum. We're heading to downtown Detroit now.
From there, we took the drive into the city and then found a place to park to go have some lunch.
You know, Pops and I can never say no to a good, we get to figure out what thing is best. So we're gonna try both of these and let you know what we think.
Right in the heart of Detroit, a battle has been raging for over 100 years as to who makes the better Coney dog, Lafayette or American. They're located right next to each other, so it's easy to grab one from each store and then you can decide for yourself. Regardless of where you order it, they're all made the same, which is a hot dog served in a steamed bun with chili, onions, and mustard on top. We grabbed one from each store and then split them in half so we could both try them.
This is American Coney Island.
And that's Lafayette?
Yeah.
All right. Which one are you going with first?
American. Good chili. Good mustard. Very nice. Very nice. Here's Lafayette. Interestingly, the onions look like they're cut just a little bit differently. This one, the hot dog, comes through a little bit more. Maybe just the way I've had it. Slight difference in the chili, too. Very good.
We liked it so much. Round two.
We actually thought that they both tasted relatively similar, but here's us deciding which one we liked best.
All right, we compared the two spots. Pops, what are you going with?
I gotta go Lafayette just by a little bit of an edge, but I have to admit, when I bought a second one, I bought one from American.
All right, and for me, I even had to buy a shirt. I liked it so much. I'm going American. Check out the back.
And you don't win friends with salad. Words to live by.
Let us know what your favorite is in the comments, and let's go explore more Detroit.
From there, we started our exploration of downtown Detroit by walking over to Campus Martius Park. Here you'll find some fun outdoor art installations, including a statue called Waiting by the famous artist Cause.
It's a pretty strong spot. They got sand, it's like a beach. You can get drinks right in the heart of Detroit.
There is a fun urban beach that you can sit and relax at right next to the Soldiers and Sailors Monument. Crossing the street, we walked through the Detroit sign on our way towards the waterfront. Along the way, don't miss the historic Guardian building, which was built in 1928 and is a 43-story skyscraper. It's an amazing example of Art Deco architecture, and it's just as beautiful on the inside as it is on the outside. During World War II, the Guardian building served as the US Army's command center for wartime production, and it's now used for office space and some coffee shops and restaurants on the bottom floor.
This is the iconic symbol in Detroit. It's known as the Spirit of Detroit.
Basically, right across the street from the Guardian building is this famous sculpture. Behind the sculpture, you'll see a Bible verse from 2 Corinthians, which states that now the Lord is that Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. I've seen this sculpture many times over the years in media, and I was excited to finally see it for myself.
When you're at the Spirit of Detroit statue, don't forget to come over here, see the fist.
This statue is a monument to Joe Louis, who is regarded as one of the greatest boxers of all time. It's 24 feet long and it weighs over 5,000 pounds.
We tried to head down to the Riverwalk, but it's closed because we were cleaning up and setting up from a festival down there, so we didn't get to go down there. Plus, there's supposed to be a thunderstorm coming in right now, so I think we're gonna go to another museum before we continue. When I was researching things to do in Detroit, I was told the Art Institute is one of the best in the nation, so we figured we had to check it out for a little bit while we were in the city.
Established in 1885, the Detroit Institute of Arts, also known as DIA, has one of the largest and most significant art collections in the entire United States. Among the museum's collection, you'll find pieces by Monet, Rodin, and even Vincent van Gogh. We even have one of Van Gogh's self-portraits here, which is so cool to see. It has over 100 different galleries, and its art collection was valued at $8 billion in 2014. For me, the must-see work are the murals that were made by Diego Rivera. These massive murals are known as Detroit Industry or Man and Machine. They span from floor to ceiling in one of the museum's large rooms, and you can just sit there in the middle and look at them for hours.
This is incredible. I feel like I'm in Detroit's Sistine Chapel here.
Unfortunately, we got there only an hour before they closed, so we didn't have as much time as I would have liked to experience this amazing museum. Don't be like us. If you love art museums, then you should definitely plan a half day here.
Yeah, it's a beautiful museum. Such amazing artists are in there, and a wide variety of different art. One thing that was really cool is that they had this deal on black film, which was really interesting also.
Just seeing the Detroit industry murals by themselves was worth it though.
From there, we decided to drive 15 minutes out to Belle Isle.
We were having a nice time in downtown Detroit. We're like, oh, we'll go out to Belle Isle, see what that's all about.
It's not sunny anymore, and there's this, look at the waves even out there, with the wind blowing and everything. My gosh.
Not ideal.
Unfortunately, the storm got pretty bad, so we didn't get to do much out here, but we did find our way into the Great Lakes Museum. Due to the weather, we were the only people in the museum, but it's pretty cool to explore. It has a couple really great permanent exhibits, the first being a restored smoking lounge from the SS City of Detroit 3 boat. Then in the back, there's a pilot house from the SS William Clay Ford, where you can be a captain of one of the ships and look out over the water towards Canada. The museum also has one of the largest known collections of scale model ships in the world, and there are many of them out on display, which they rotate out often. Once the rain stopped, we headed out of the museum and were able to explore a little bit more of the island.
That's the conservatory right there. It's closed for renovations right now, but I heard it's a pretty cool spot to explore here. And then the aquarium is right next to it, which is only open on the weekends.
Next time I'm in Detroit, hopefully the weather's better, and I'm definitely going to plan to spend a half day out here. You can also get some pretty great views of the Detroit skyline, and I'm sure it'd be cool to walk or bike around as well. For our second last stop of the day, we headed to the Heidelberg Project, which is an outdoor art installation. The project was created by Tyree Guyton almost 40 years ago, and his inspiration was a desire to revitalize the deteriorating community and transform abandoned houses and places where people didn't even want to walk into an area of art and urban renewal that the local community could be proud of. Despite facing challenges and threats over the years, including some of the pieces even being demolished or destroyed in a fire, the project still remains here today, although it's unclear for how much longer it will be here. When I visited, it seemed like some of the installations were in disrepair, and I read online that they may be dismantling some of them in the future. So I have no idea what it'll be like in the future if you go, but it's a cool story to read about online, and I love seeing folk art installations when I travel.
Yeah, I know this hasn't been a healthy tour in Michigan, but we liked the Detroit style pizza so much last night, we had to have it again. This time we're going to Michigan and Trumbull, which is what somebody told us is the best slice in the city. We'll see. They do complimentary wine here, so why not?
This is a tiny spot, so get here early for dinner, as there's probably only 6 or 7 tables at the restaurant.
All right, our last meal on our Michigan trip and our last meal in Detroit. Going big with a hot honey pepperoni.
Start by looking at this crust. This crust is like perfect, brown, crispy, delicious. Same thing with the amount of cheese and that crispy crust on the bottom. They're both very different and really nice. Very, very good.
Cheers. I am so in on Detroit style pizza. I'm sad that this is my last slice of the trip. Man, I'm going to be thinking about coming back to Detroit just to have the pizza again.
Oh, absolutely, no question about it.
Cheers. Last pizza of the trip.
I should also note that the previous night we went to Buddy's, which is supposedly the place that created Detroit style pizza. It was incredible, and it's cool to go to such a historic spot if you like the pizza as much as we did.
And with that, our 24 hours in Detroit is done. What a fun city to explore. Pops, what'd you think?
It's very different than I expected. Now, some of the outlying areas are a little rough in terms of rundown, but the city itself is beautiful, clean, lots of things to see. I was very impressed.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun in Detroit. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let us know what we left off, and we'll see you on the next one.